Okay, hello, hi, I'm back. Um, Welcome again to Unveiling Truths. We're getting into the Hebrew Israelites as they depart out of Egypt. Now, we all know that the Hebrew Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. You can see them doing forced bondage. And I'm going to show you just how these are images of the Hebrews. Pictures that were supposedly of how the Hebrews looked. I don't know how authentic they are or however, but these images, and then I'm going to show you images of the Egyptians as well. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to step out the way and we're just going to go through some photos, images, and I'm going to explain now with these photos of the Israelites being mistreated by the Egyptians. Understand that there's going to be one photo that is pretty, degrading. It's really a degrading photo. So viewer discretion is advised with viewing these images because it's just what they went through back at that time, and some of the images can be kind of, really sad to view, but it's the truth. So that's what we're operating in, is truth. So I'm going to start showing you some videos, and I'll be talking as we kind of go along, and then we're going to get into some scriptures as well. I'm trying to get as much done because it seems like it's so hard for me to get so much together and organize and then keep, trying to get the videos, keep them going. So I'm going to try and get through as much as we can, but there's things you need to know as far as who God actually is for. Okay, that's going to be really important. So anyways, here we go. Okay, we know that this is the Hebrew Israelites in bondage. You have the slave, the taskmaster here with his whip as he's striking the Hebrews to get them to do what he wants them to do. And so you have all these Hebrews that are working. And this is an everyday situation back in Egypt for the Hebrews. They only for their next tomorrow and weeks to come, this is what they had to look forward to. Building the Egyptian cities and to work all day. And that's what their lives consisted of. Waking up each day to this. Okay. Here it shows them planting seed and working in the field type of photo, and as you can see their skin color is dark. Okay, and so it just basically, see, this is how they drew back then. They drew photo images, just kind of giving you an idea of what they're trying to express. They're not as detailed as of course the drawings are today, but that's how you know that these are old drawings. Okay, and you see that their complexion, they're all dark. And here's a wall that shows the Hebrew Israelites, how they are, carrying heavy objects and, just them working. It just shows you them building and working. Here it looks like they're making mortar, brick, making a mixture so that they can, but it just shows them doing all types of service, and they're all of dark complexion. And this is on this wall, discovered on a wall. And this is the degrading photo, so close your eyes or turn the video off if you cannot handle it, because it's pretty degrading. This is actually what the Hebrews were made to do for the Egyptians. They actually bathed the Egyptians. The Egyptians, they as you can see, their skin colors, they're darker. They are like a lighter skin color. And then you even got pictures, because Egyptians drew pictures as well. As we talk about the ancient photophonic script, they drew pictures as well. But you see the degradingness of these Hebrews bathing the Egyptians, and that's really sad. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and we're going to look at some artifacts of Egypt. Okay, these are Egyptian artifacts. Now it's very clear that that mouth is a black mouth. Look how thick those lips are. He has black features. This is King Tut. Okay, and we're just going to go through some images of the Egyptians. Okay, King Tut. And remember that these images are on the internet. Okay, you see those thick lips, highly profiled. Those lips are black. Anybody would know black lips. Okay, that's clear. We know that Egyptians were black. Now this is Tutankhamun. Let me see if I can. Tutankhamun. Now his eyes are not as wide as the other one's eyes, but they got a very similar nose, and there's those thick lips again. Okay, so we know that Egyptians were black. That's evident. Thick lips, again. Matter of fact, and I'm not exactly sure who this is, if this is King Tut or if this is another photo, because a lot of these images they're very similar. This is another different face. His face is much slenderer, but he's got the exact same. Look at that nose, and look at those lips. Got wide eyes, but these are black. Egyptians are black. Okay, here's other pictures of the Egyptians as we go on through these. Of just a lot of different images. Oh, let me see some, as a matter of fact. You see how they drew symbols? This is ancient photophonic. They drew in pictures. Okay? So if you ever find any ancient script, and the ancient script look like it is in modern Hebrew, you know it's not ancient. Now look at how similar these two look like. Look at those. Now you're talking amazing. Look at those. Look at that. Slender. I mean, you're talking amazing. Yes, they look exactly alike. And of course, this statue is of an Egyptian. See that symbol there? He's an Egyptian, and they have the little paths that come along the side. That's an Egyptian. This guy is more than likely with genetic genes of an Egyptian. It's amazing how just true to life that they look. Okay? And this just another image. Here's an image. Now this is a light skin. You know how we have different tones? This is a light skin. Okay? And also, yeah, Egyptians did believe in drawing humans with animal heads and stuff. That was an Egyptian thing. I believe that might have been like how their gods were depicted. And here's an image. I don't have to mention the color of his skin. That's evident. But notice the feature here. It's got a very straight, slender nose, but they have wide eyes. long, wide eyes. And then, this mouth is a lot smaller. And here's other images along with the photophonic on the wall. The photophonic images on the wall. And this would depict ancient script here. I don't read Egypt. I don't even read good Hebrew because I'm more interested in the ancient script, not the modern script. So I don't read as good. But you see, notice that the Pharaoh sitting on the throne here is clearly black. And here's another photo, another images of the lips. Always look at the lips. The lips tell you who they are. And this is an image of him just being black, period. He's saying, not only do I have the nose, not only do I have the mouth, but I even have the skin. Okay, and these are Egyptians. Okay, this is a tomb. Let me see if I can blow this up. Now this is the tomb. As a matter of fact, there's the head, the body with the animal head, and these are dark complected. Well, this one here is a lighter complexion here. And I don't know whose tomb that is, but like I said, I'm just showing you images. Okay, more images as we go along. I'm going to let these just sit a minute because you can always come back and look at them on your own. These are people who are opening up a tomb, and you can see that looking at his complexion and looking at their complexion, you can tell that these are dark-skinned people compared to these light-skinned faces here. Okay. And more images of people with color. Okay. And just type on the internet, ancient Egyptians. And there's the little soldiers that they made back in the day. I'm going to also show you some images where they were defaced. A lot of images were defaced, particularly the nose. Because the nose is hard to deface the lips, but they would knock off the noses. And I'm going to show you images, but they took off his little beard symbol that they would wear. And these are little slaves, basically, and they were all people of color. And here's a picture, another picture. Okay. And this is the boy, King Tut. Broad nose and big lips, or thick lips. Now this one here has smaller lips, but it's got the broader nose, you know. And it looks like it possibly, no, let me not say. And these are statues here, you know, and you can clearly even see at a distance the noses and the mouths. It looked like this one here was completely, this image here had been completely demolished. It would have been 4 of them. You notice the pair of legs, the pair of legs, the pair of legs, the pair of legs, but all this one has left is a pair of legs. His whole top body area has been destroyed for some reason, I guess. Let's see. And this shows the architect of, you know, the buildings that were made back then. Okay, you could tell that the buildings were made out of the same dust. They're pretty much the same color. But that's kind of not a bad thing, because you notice it could be camouflage, you know. So, I mean, if this were a hill and you flew over it and they put like a canopy made out of this same material, they put a canopy over this, you would never even know it was there. So it being a similar color is not always a bad thing. You might want some different color after a while, but that may not be the worstest thing, especially in today's world, how unstable today's world is. Now these are pyramids, and it's amazing, as old as these pyramids are, they are so perfectly aligned. I mean, that is amazing. How could ancient Hebrews, Egyptians, have been able to perfectly align a building? And I mean, and then they had tunnels in them and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you go into these pyramids, I mean, it's amazing how the architect in those, they show some of the chambers in those pyramids. It is truly amazing when you think about back in those biblical days. Really? Back in those biblical days. And this is some of the other architect with the statues. They were, and I mean, these, look at this little guy here. This is actually a man standing here, and look at how huge those statues are in comparison to the size of this man standing there. So, and they're ancient. So can you imagine the manpower it took to make those? To make any of that? But to make those statues the way that they make them? Now it seems like all the heads on these statues have been removed for some reason. You got the arms folded up here, but it should be a head up there. This one seems to have his head, but the rest of these heads are gone. But it took, I'm going to tell you, this is a man walking here. Look at his size in comparison to them statues. And you got to remember that this was in ancient times. So that just goes to show you the manpower. Now this is the Sphinx. You notice his nose has been removed, shot off. We're gonna look at a lot of photos where they were disfigured like that. And we're going to read scriptures as to how that happened. Here's another monument or architect back in biblical days. These are amazing back in their days, how these were met. Now, this here, this is Eddie Murphy, and this is Imani. She's a supermodel. Okay, Michael Jackson did a video, and he were depicting the Egyptians to be their color. As a matter of fact, she looks just like some of the pictures we're going to see. She's going to look just like the Egyptians, just like them. And that was in Michael Jackson's video called Remember the Time, because he's going back to a time when ancient Egyptians were black. That's why the videos is called Remember the Times, because that's who we are. Well, we aren't Egyptian, but the Hebrews were black like the Egyptians. We were not this image here that is depicted as an Egyptian. Although he has a nose that looks similar to the Egyptian, he has absolutely no lips whatsoever, especially that top lip. There is just absolutely no lip there. But this is the image that Hollywood movies portray. But they're totally inaccurate, because a person of him being in the extreme temperatures, matter of fact, let me, while I'm thinking about this, okay, let's see if I can come up with something. I want to show you something. Let's see if I can find this. I may not be able to find it because I have so many things to show you. Okay, let me see something. See, you got to understand that the temperatures back in those days were extreme. Now these, I didn't mean to show this early, but hey, it's fitting, so why not? Okay, generally a lot of Caucasians, and this is not a prejudice thing, this is just a factual thing. Generally they purposely lay out in the sun to get what's called a sun tan. Okay? And the suntan darkens their skin. But sometimes their skin doesn't tan the way they intend. It becomes sometimes red. Like this is a reddish color. He wanted to get darker, not red, not to burn. You see, their intention is to make their skin a darker color, and this is the original color before she began her tan. This is showing her back, a female's back. Okay, you can even see like under her arm where it's not tan, up under her arm, and where her strap went across. Okay, but in extreme temperatures, they have issues. This here is called a severe sunburn. It becomes blistery. Okay, sometimes they blister, and sometimes the skin even peels. And some of these images are gonna be pretty detestable. So viewer discretion is advised on these videos as well, on these images as well. This is a man here that has a really nasty blister. And see, this is why you know that whites could not endure extreme heat, extreme sun exposure over a lengthy period of time, because some of them really cannot handle extreme heat. Here's another one where it shows you here she's got blisters. You notice the line where her clothing was, and this is what happens with a lot of Caucasian skins, that they cannot endure extreme amounts of sun. They have to cover up. Now this was something kind of surprising to me. I wasn't aware that they can even develop sun blisters. Look at the blisters on his mouth as a result of an overexposure of sun. Now, I wasn't aware that your lips could blister, but obviously, now this man's hand is blistering. Yeah, it's gross, but this is what happens when Caucasians get an overexposure to sun. This is how we know that over in those nations where the temperature is extreme, it is very doubtful that the Egyptians or the Hebrews could have been white. As you can see, they can't handle heat. Look at how his skin is just peeling. That is absolutely gross. That is really gross. But we know that when a black gets sunburned, all he gets is darker. He does not blister, and his skin does not blister, and his skin does not peel. He just gets dark. Here's another skin that is peeling as a result of an overexposure of sun. Okay. Another, where this is where, it looked like a young person, where his neck might have been covered with a towel or something, but the rest of his skin that's gotten red here, I bet that hurts. It's also painful, and the skin is peeling. And there's another peel, and there's another chapped lip or blistery type of lip as a result of being in the heat. So they used what's called sunblock. It's a lotion that they put on that helps to protect their skin from an overexposure of sun. But see, back in ancient biblical times, this lotion did not exist. So either you was able to deal with the heat or you did not exist there. And I think it was probably the second. I mean, if they couldn't, I mean both. If they couldn't deal with the heat, then they didn't live there. Well, okay, now this is a woman here. I don't know how the rest of her skin is. But not only did this woman tan herself to get so dark, I don't know whether she just hated the fact that she was white or what, but she, if I'm believing this is the same woman, she even tanned her granddaughter. And so some people really can take things to the extreme, but it doesn't show any parts of her body, so I don't know if she was adversely affected as a result. So those were some images that I kind of had to show for something else, I guess. But I want to get back to the Egyptians. Okay. Let's see, where were we? Well, okay, well, we just ended with the Egyptians. We just ended with him portraying an Egyptian, and I doubt with those extreme temperatures over there that he would have remained that color. I'm pretty sure he would have gotten darker because the temperatures over there are pretty warm. Okay, it's pretty hot over there. Okay, so then I wanted to, wait a minute. I have so much to show you that, okay, we went over the plagues. Okay, you know what? We went over the Egyptian and we, okay, let me show you something about the plagues while we're on this. Okay, this is the 11 plagues, okay? This is to show you the effects of how God dealt with the Egyptians. Okay, when we went through the plagues, and I know we've already kind of read them, but something just told me to show you as well, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, this is what a normal river looks like. Okay, and this is a simulation of what blood. Now this is an actual river. You see that brown, where it's brown on that side and then this red is coming along? Well, with this particular area, and this happens actually today, this particular area, and I'm thinking it was Karan or Karhan, area where they actually experience their waters turning red, not actually blood. Well, there was one area where they claimed that the blood was as a result of the fish dying, but they claimed that it was actually blood. But no amount of fish dying is going to produce this amount of blood. I'm sorry. How are you going to produce this amount of blood without the fish? The fish would float. When they die, they float up to the surface. You know, but this is a depiction of when God smote the Egyptians. He turned everything to blood. They couldn't even, all the fish in the river died. But when fish die, they float up to the top. Well, we don't see any fish floating up to the top. So whoever is saying that the blood that occurs in today's time is as a result of the fish dying, these are just depiction of how it was when God put the plague on Pharaoh and he turned the rivers to blood. Okay, so these are just images of to give you an idea of a river being blood, or all the waters in Egypt being blood. Okay, everywhere. Okay, now if I'm gonna pull this up. You notice this image of this person here? Well, they definitely are not dressed in Egyptian attire. Okay, so that's a more modern picture, but it shows you how the water is red, and also the water is coming out of this big hole, like a tunnel, like, and you see that little stream, and it's just running down the steps. So that is, those are areas where it actually does. Now here, I put this up because this is more biblical. The water isn't really, it's like a brownish color. But the thing is, it shows you that in the Bible, it tells you all the fish in the river, they died. Okay? And so, and this is just more images. And see, now here lets you know that this water is red. Okay? Let me see if I can pull this up. And how we know that this is modern is because this is a vehicle. This here is a car. This isn't a chariot. This is a vehicle. And the area, I think it was Kahaza or something, it is something that makes their water red. And it runs, actually, it floods red, the color of red. That's amazing. Okay? But that vehicle lets you know, and then here's a boat. Now there's a really good picture of the river being red. Completely red. Look at how red this stream is. But that's a boat, and we know good and well that that's a modern boat. That's a boat, and they got their hard hats on, you know. So this is a more modern image here. And look at all these big fish. These are fish. Wow, that means fish are actually existing in this water. Yeah. Oh, and as a matter of fact, that's a man that's in the water. He's got on like a black scuba diver looking suit. But he's actually in that red water. And that actually still occurs. But I can't remember exactly where that does occur. But this is a simulation of the fact that they were not able to drink their water because where the water is red here, it was blood in Egypt. It was blood. And who is really in their right mind going to drink blood? Okay, and the second plague was frogs. Okay, and I just brought up these images to show you. Can you imagine these being all over the place in your house? A frog? I mean, look at, oh, that is just too gross. I mean, can you imagine having this everywhere? Just compile these fat things everywhere in your house. Oh my goodness, look, I mean, just everywhere outside, everywhere you step, frogs. And then you wake up and you try to go to sleep, and what? This is a portrayal of an Egyptian sleeping, and there's frogs everywhere. And one thing we know about frogs, or we've been taught or told about frogs, is that when a frog urinates, when a frog lets out urine, when a frog, where some people may call it pisses, pee-pee, or pee, or urinate, however you want to call it. I don't think it lets out that much, but I've never seen a frog do it. But they supposedly create warts. Not only are they grotesque, but they create these grotesque things on your skin. Okay? And those are called warts. Okay? And they can appear, numerous of them can appear on your hands. Okay? Now, I don't know. Okay, so we're just going to keep it going because I get to talking. And now here's lice. We're going to talk about lice. Okay? God placed lice. Okay, there's different species of lice, and it didn't say which lice the Hebrews encountered, but here's body lice, public lice, and head lice. Now these images are going to get gross, or going to be gross, but I'm letting you know the effects of these plagues that God put upon the Egyptians. You might say, oh, them little bitty old things, no big deal. You're okay. Let's see if they're going to be a big deal. These are different size lice. Oh, wait a minute. These are different size lice, and this is the male. The male is smaller than the female. Okay, I just thought that might be something, you know. Okay. And it shows you how small a lice is in comparison to a penny. Okay, here's a hair lice that's attached to a strain of hair. Okay. And I'm not sure what the length is, but that's a length. Okay, I guess a length is like in between, or a teenager, or midways, and this is the adult. Okay, so this is the little lice on the hair, then it turns to the length, I guess, and then it becomes the adult. Okay. And there's a I didn't mean to blow this far. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to come out of this. Okay, I'm sorry. That was the end of that. Okay, so now we're going to look at body lice. This body lice surprisingly does what? Attaches to your body. It bites into your skin, and I believe it puts its head into your skin, but I could be wrong. But anyways, that's supposed to be a body lice. Okay. Let's go back. And this is public lice. Public lice is gross. Okay, and why is this gross? Because these little lice that you see here is attached to somebody's eyelashes. Eyelashes, those are eyelashes coming out of their eyes. This here is their eye, and this is this stuff on their eyelashes. That's why that is extremely gross. Look at this. Now here is a person's eye. Let me see if I can blow this up. Okay, anyways, let me see. This is their eye. If you could look in there, you would see that that's an eye. See the white part, and then there's the eye. But this is on a person's eyelashes. I mean, how could you even think to see? You see, now can you see that eye? There's the pupil, there's the iris, and there's the white. That's a person's eye, up close. And then you got all these lice on their eyelashes. And this is public lice. Now this here is not showing the whole thing, thank goodness, but this is genital hair. And it shows little bitty dots of lice on their genital hairs. Okay, little bitty dots on their genital. That's lice, public lice. So, and I don't, and that these are eggs that are attached. Okay, like here, this is another shot, possibly, I think, of a genital hair, simply because the strands are so far apart. So that's the reason why I believe it's genital hair as opposed to hair on your head or under your arms. These are the eggs on the genital strand of the hair. And these are lice that have actually hatched. I can't imagine that they're biting, you know, because they have to eat. They have to feed. So what are they going to feed on? They're going to feed on you. So you have these lice, and this is another genital hair of lice. Okay, and you see all the eggs attached. I don't see any that have hatched. Oh yes, I do. Here's one up here that has hatched. Okay, but yeah, and I guess they just cling to your skin and feed, so I know that has just absolutely got to be miserable. So that's public lice. Okay. Then we have head lice. Brace yourself for this, because this is really gross. All of them are gross, but my goodness. Okay, this shows you here how it attaches to the hair root. This isn't even an egg. This is just the lice, and then some of them attach to the skin. Okay. Now this is an actual person's hair. It's not black hair. It's Caucasian hair, because our hair is coarse, and it would be hard to stay attached to our hair because of the chemicals when we get a perm, or when we used to, back in the old school days, press our hair so lice wouldn't survive in our hair, because we put too much extreme heat to our hair to make our hair straight when we wore our hair straight. And I do have photos. I think I have some images old, but anyways, of when I wore my hair straight. But now I'm into culture, so. But you see the strands, the eggs that are attached to the hair. Okay. Now this one is gross, so viewer discretion is advised. This man here, or woman here, I don't know who, he has so many lice in his hair that it is absolutely grotesque. All these little fragments you see all along his, or lice. That is just, you're talking an infestation. That is absolutely wow. Even on the outskirts, he's got lice. My goodness. That is gross. That is really disgusting. But that is what the Egypts, every place that there was hair on their body, hair, eyelashes, genitals, they had lice. They had lice on them. So these things these plagues that God is put upon them, they had an impact. Then he put flies, and I don't have to tell anybody how annoying flies are. Flies out of nowhere comes, land on your food, land on you. Just absolute annoyance. And when you're talking about a swarm of them, this is a swarm when they just come in by the droves, and they're just absolutely everywhere. Flies. Okay. Then we're going into cattle diet. Okay, this is showing you just images of cattle that have just died. So how can you eat if you have no cattle? If all of your cattle just drop dead, not to mention the fact, because once it dies, you're not supposed to eat something that dies of itself. But Egyptians, I don't know what their lifestyle was as far as this was concerned, but if you have dead cattle all over the place, then where do you get your source of meat? If all of your animals, I don't know if all your animals, but it said all the cattle died. So they must have had quite a bit of cattle for it to have their cattle dying to have affected them. Okay. Then we go to, now brace yourself for this one again. These are another videos that are absolutely gross. They are disgusting. These are boils. A boil is not only this, you can imagine if this hurts. You touch this is super sensitive. It's got a lot of pus in it, and if you break it open and the pus leaks out, then the cut is very sensitive, and even that would hurt. Kind of like those blisters that they got when they had the suntans, and you bust those blisters and then it's really sore inside. But these, Job, if you remember the story of Job had these from head to toe all over his body. These are boils. Okay, so that you know what boils look like. Now this is gross. This is a man, and it looks more to me like tumors, but they have the similarity of what it would look like to have boils all over you, everywhere. That's why Job was so fearful of boils, because of how grotesque boils actually looked. Look at this. Now this is a picture of what, if you had boils from head to toe, this is something that you could have ended up looking like. I mean, just everywhere. And then they were sensitive to the boils were painful. Okay, it looks to me like he's got tumors everywhere, but it gives you an idea of having boils all over your body. It just gives you an idea of how they suffered to have them everywhere. And then this is the hellfire. It rained down hell and everything that was outside, and the hellfire came down, it destroyed. And this is just these are just simulations. They're not the actual thing, of course, but it's just to give you an idea of what they went through, because it was a heck of a lot more hell than what you're seeing that came down. And then here we go with the locusts. Locusts are very similar to grasshoppers, but they're larger. And if you got vegetation, they will help you get rid of it. They will eat everything. And they had the locusts came in and they covered the sky. I mean, it's so many of them. They're just everywhere. And they eat up every green thing. They will eat up everything. I mean, they can take out some stuff. So these are just basically images of what Egypt, this is them, pictures of them. You see how they're on this vegetation, eating it up. They will eat up everything. Kind of like soldier ants. They would take out everything in its path. Okay. Sorry. The wrong way. Where was I at? Okay, and then they had darkness. And darkness, we're talking just pitch black. So thick you can't even see your hand in front of you. I mean, the only thing that would be visible in that amount of darkness, and then if it was a thick darkness, if it was a really thick darkness, you would really not even really be able to see that, because it would be so thick, kind of like fog. Have you ever seen fog so thick that you can't even see the sun? Of course. Fog can be so thick that the sun can be out at its brightest and you cannot see the sun at all. That's just how thick this darkness was. You wouldn't have even been able to see a light even if you lit it, because it was a thick darkness. Okay. And of course, all the firstborn in Egypt, they died. Every house in Egypt mourned the loss of their firstborn. That was the plague, one of the plagues that was put upon the Egyptians, and that's what caused the Egyptians to thrust out the Israelites because of that. And then last, God really did his thing. So now after all the firstborn died and they thrust them out, then they were like, get out, lest everybody in Egypt die. So they were ready to get rid of the Israelites, and the Israelites went out. It was 600,000. After we go through this last photo, we're gonna go to scripture. But it was 600,000 Israelites on foot, and then you're talking about, well, and I believe that was not even including the mixed multitude. Now, when God led them out, he led them out by a pillar of fire by day and a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. So this is the pillar. I got these reversed. This is the pillar of fire by night, and this is the cloud, the pillar of cloud by day. So that it was no mistaking where the Lord was. And when we get into scripture, oh my goodness, these people, I could hang them myself. But anyways, this shows where Pharaoh, God hardened Pharaoh's heart again, and Pharaoh decided to send his army. That's up there after the Israelites, and God placed his fire, and it covered this whole area where they couldn't pass. So you got the army of Pharaoh on this side, and you got the Israelites on this side, and you got the Red Sea over here. Okay, behind them. So Pharaoh figured, well, we got them. I mean, the sea's in front of them, we in back of them. They have nowhere to go. So what does the Lord do? The Lord opens up the Red Sea, and all the Israelites pass through the Red Sea on dry land. I mean, it's not even muddy, it's dry land. Okay, so he let his people go by, pass through on dry land, while of course the walls of water are standing up to let them pass through the sea on dry land. Okay. And then he allows the Egyptians passage. Come on, y'all want to come on in